There's a mineral that comes from earth called gypsum. And if you heat it up really hot, it dries it out, turns it into a really fine powder. I'm going to show you some really cool things you can do with that fine powder today. I'm Pat Willis with 4-H in Washington County. Here's a list of supplies you're going to need for this great activity. That dried gypsum is actually plaster of Paris. And you might not have this at home, but you can get it at Fred Meyer's, Ace Hardware, those type of places. Another thing you'll need is some kind of container to put the plaster in to mix it up, and some kind of stir stick, not a spoon, but any kind of stick, or even a Ziploc bag works really good too. We can show you that. The other thing you'll need is some kind of form, just like cardstock or paper with a paper clip. Sometimes I'll take these 2-liter bottles and just cut them into about 1 or 2 inch strips with a pair of scissors, nice and easy. And something to clean up with, a whisk broom works good, or a paintbrush, even a toothbrush, anything like that. And the last thing you need is just plain old tap water to carry out with you in the field, and we'll see you outside. All right, we're outside here now. I was looking for some tracks in our backyard, but really didn't see any. So we're gonna make one up here. We have a horseshoe pit right here with some nice sand in it, and our dog Boo Boo, and she just loves this stuff. We'll push her foot down into the soft sand and make a nice little track impression. Ooh, that's just right, Boo Boo, good dog. Now, I'm gonna use one of those rings I showed earlier. We'll push that around the track, get it just right, and it makes it turn out really nice when you do that. Good dog. And now take the plaster, use about, this one I'm using about 2 cups of plaster, and you end up doing about a cup of water to get it just right. We'll stir it up with some water right here. You don't want to put too much water in to get it too runny, but you want it just right, about the thickness of pancake batter. So when you pour it into the tracks, it fills all the cracks and crevices of that impression in the sand. It's better to have a little less water than more. Boo Boo's really looking forward to this. That'll be just about right. And just pour it into the track. Try to get as much of it out as you can. You need to do this after about 5 or 10 minutes after you mix up the water and plaster, otherwise it'll just harden up in your container. Boo Boo's a big help. Take your stick and just tap it like that and see how it kind of liquefies a little bit, it spreads it out, and that way you're not touching it that much. So, yeah, we're back inside the house now, and we'll let the track that Boo Boo made out there harden up. It takes about 20 minutes to a half hour to harden up, and we'll go out and collect it and show you how to clean it off later. But you can do this inside too, all kinds of good art projects you can do with plaster. And what I want to do is make a plaster cast of a kind of a tiki vase here. And has some nice soft sand I brought in, add a little water to it, make it a little bit moist that way. And I'm just gonna press this down into the sand to get a nice impression. So we'll do that. Ooh, that's nice, that'll be good. And I'm gonna use plaster instead of in a container, just in a Ziploc bag. These are really nice for taking in the field too. It's about 2 cups of plaster to about a cup of water. I got some water here, gonna pour it in here, and I'm gonna stir it up just by hand inside here like this. Just hold the Ziploc bag and kind of mix it up. And we're not going to use a circle to go around this because it's a little too big for our circle, but we'll just pour a great big track there, or a great big cast. And a little too thick yet. And you have to do this, once you pour the water in there, probably within about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at the most, because it'll start to harden up. So when you're out in the field, you carry your water separately and your plaster separately to when you're doing your tracks. That's probably about right, like pancake batter. What I like to do is kind of get it down on one end and actually just tear a hole in the Ziploc bag in a corner, if I can, and then we'll squirt it down inside here. Almost like when you're making, cake decorating, you kind of just squirt it down in here and across the entire track. Ooh, that's coming out cool. Kind of cool. Ooh, yes. Oh yeah, this would be great. And we're gonna liquefy it or knead it like we did before. I'm just gonna take the top of the plaster, watch this, I'll just kind of wiggle a little bit. See how that wiggles like that? And it liquefies it and it gets it down in all those cracks and crevices without touching the sand and moving the sand around. It's really great. So we'll let that harden up for about 20 minutes and pull it out and clean it up. Okay, here we are back at Boo Boo's track. On a good sunny day, it's about 20 minutes. We gave about an hour because a little bit wet out. And what I like to do to pick these up is be gentle, but I kind of just push underneath the sand like this and pull it out like that. And then you can clean it off in the bottom, like with a whisk broom. You can do that. It's pretty solid now. And that works pretty good. If you don't have that, sometimes a paintbrush works fine too. You get down into fine cracks, and even a toothbrush works really good too. So there's Boo Boo's track in there. We'll show you a couple other ones we have there too, but that's your Plastercast. All right, we brought these in from the field. They're hardened up now, but if you can wait a full day and actually run them underneath a sink or a faucet if you want to clean them up a little bit more. But these Plastercasts, they're a great way of collecting data in the field. Still used today as part of as science projects, but I like to record where I found them, what it was, and even paint them, and it's a great art project too.
Hey Willis.
Yeah?
Why does my toothbrush taste like dirt?
I have no idea.